Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. In this episode, we interview Monster Kids artist Pete Taylor, Walking Dead artist and comic laureate Charlie Adlard, plus music from the wild. Well, stranger, we're feeding them strangers.
Episode 1, the Comic Art
first one.
Festival podcast.
Yes.
Starring me, Ian.
If you had hair, you would have flung it over your shoulder then, wouldn't you? Had a diva moment.
Continue the link.
Sorry. And me, Nikki.
There we go.
There you
See,
go.
it wasn't
right,
hard.
sorry.
Jeez.
Well, I wasn't throwing me hair around.
You're just not the star.
Obviously.
Welcome. So this is us from now on. You've heard the the prequel bits and bobs, hopefully.
Yes.
If not, go listen.
Yes.
After this, or before, don't really matter.
I'm just going to keep saying yes.
Yes. But now we're here from episode 1 and monthly there onwards.
Bringing you everything you need to know.
Everything. In this episode, we got so much.
I know. It's so exciting.
But you'll find out as we go along. Mm-hmm. Before we get into the first section, is going to be looking at some books we've been reading. Mm-hmm. Before we do that,
go on.
We've decided this week and booked ourselves in.
Yes.
To have tattoos.
That's a nervous little giggle there.
We're having a midlife crisis-ish.
Well, I'm 40 this year, so that's probably my excuse.
That'll do. So what are you having done?
I'm having Totoro done above my ankle.
Above your ankle?
Yes.
Your cankle?
Me cankle, because I haven't got very good ankles.
Okay.
On me cankle, I'm having Totoro, because I love Ghibli, so that'd be why.
That's true.
Yes.
I'm having Dread.
Because you love Dread.
I'm having the David Aja. I think that's how you pronounce it. Mm-hmm. He's done the variant on the 40th anniversary issue of Judge Dredd, not Judge Dredd, 2000 AD. Mm-hmm. They've got the variant cover with the red helmet and they're just pure black and white other than that. And that's,
I'm sensing pain in yours though.
Yeah.
I'm booked in for an hour. You're booked in
2 to 3. It could hopefully 2.
It depends if you pass out.
Not that bad.
You don't like needles.
I know, but
you had your legs waxed for charity today and you cried.
I know I did. I didn't. I did cry like Chewbacca, I suppose. So we'll put pictures up on the Twitter feed and the website of our
before it all scabs over.
And yeah, if you want to sponsor us, that works.
More artwork.
Yeah. Any artists out there, my body is for sale.
My body is my canvas.
Yes. Right, so we've been reading a few books, obviously.
We have.
With this podcast, we want to try and read stuff that we would never generally read.
Well, it's opening up a new world to us as well, isn't it?
A whole new world.
Please don't sing.
All right. Yeah, it's stuff that, I mean, I've always been 2000 AD or your superhero malarkey and stuff. I'm trying to expand my comic horizons.
Whereas I would head more to manga.
Yeah.
So this is bringing me back into...
So we've been purchasing books. We've been given some books.
We have.
We've been spoilt.
We have been
spoilt
and rotten.
So I want to talk about probably the hardest book I've ever read.
Yes, you see, I've looked at the pictures. I haven't delved into it because, I mean, you were quite traumatised, weren't you?
Black Dog, The Dreams of Paul Nash. Now, this was released at the Festival 2016 last year, part funded and assisted by the actual festival itself. Yeah. It
is amazing artwork.
It's about Paul Nash, who was a soldier in the First World War. Mm-hmm. And he went on to explain his scarring, I suppose, his psyche, his damages through words and imagery and so forth. And Dave McKean, world famous artist, has come out and he's done his version of Paul Nash's dreams, essentially. And it's scary. It really is. I mean, the art throughout is amazing, and there's so many different styles he's done throughout the book. I mean, some of them are a single page. And we've got a print of one of them, which is stunning. And the whole book, the art within the whole book is just amazing. But it changes from page to page. You never know what you're going to get throughout the whole book.
That's a bit like how you dream, though, isn't it?
In a way,
you
yeah.
Get two dreams
Each dream, each section, in a way, is a different style. In a way, but within that is the words and thoughts from Paul Nash, and it's quite shocking. And the pictures just bring them to life in a way. I mean, there's quite a few pictures in here, all sections where there is no words, full stop. But it does bring together what World War One must have been like in a way, and
how it leaves people. Yeah,
it's scary and it's horrible. It is a hard book to read, but just looking at the artwork alone is amazing. You know, the book for just the art, never mind.
Is it one that stays with you?
Yes, it's one that you can go back to probably every year or so, just to go through it, and just imagine yourself what it must have been like in a way.
Yeah.
Right,
And the imagery used in there just does bring it up.
It's harder than a film. A film doesn't portray the people, the psyche, and what they're going through.
Yeah.
A film just gives you the horrors of legs coming out from what have you.
It can't go into the dreamlike
mind.
way of which art can do.
And yeah, it's amazing. Definitely worth checking out. I mean, not for the special edition because that's going for crazy money now.
Yes,
but the standard paperback, I think it's even for download now as well. But obviously, I think this is one you want.
Oh, you want to hold it in
you
your
want
hands,
this physical copy because it is a gorgeous book. So, yeah, Paul Nash's Black Dog. Let's go completely different here.
Okay. Why do you do that?
Well,
I thought you were going to... Sorry.
No, as in style
I'll
of
bring
book.
my bright pink book over.
Which I've not read this one.
So, I have read Paris. I know, it's
pink.
complete... It is bright
published by
pink.
Knockabout.
It is. By Martin Van Weir?
That sounds right, yeah.
I'm not very good at them. You always get it right and I always got it wrong. So this is a graphic trash novel.
Brilliant.
Set in the fashion world, following... It's a black comedy. The characters, you like to hate them.
Okay.
They're not... They don't endear themselves to you. But it is like reading or watching Jeremy Kyle in book form set in the fashion world of Paris. It's everything that is...
I imagine the fashion world is just Jeremy Kyle, though, to be fair.
It's awful, the actual world. The book's brilliant, and the artwork it's very stylised.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not something I'd usually be drawn to, I must admit, but it is a fantastic book.
It's got a lot of naughty pictures in it.
It's not for under 18s. But it is. It's a black comedy following three girls: Hope, Chastity, and Faith.
That says it all, doesn't it?
It does. They're definitely not. They don't live up to their names. And them paying the price of fame in rather dramatic ways. So you watch them, the rise and ultimate fall of these three girls in Paris.
I am tempted to read it. I must. Again, it's not something I would ever look at.
It's brilliant.
The book itself is gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous book,
and a good cover does pull me in.
You can't miss on that pink.
But something that really stands out. I love the cover. I love the whole style of it.
You like that style, yeah. It reminds me of French animation in a way. Yeah. In the style that they've done.
Amazing. It's called Paris.
No, but it didn't have to be in that style, did it? So yeah, it's very good. And on every page, so all the girls are wearing couture and clothing, and at the bottom there's a footnote of what every girl is wearing, which designer designed it all. So it's very clever, and it is darkly funny, and you do put it down and go, whoa! So it's a definite read. Completely opposite to Black Dog, I have to admit. Yeah.
Another one, which again we were given, Tokyo is My Garden, which we both read this one.
We did.
By Frederic Wallet and Benoit Peters.
You're doing well, though.
Thank you. It's, again, something that I'd look at this and I wouldn't... It just wouldn't pull me in any way, shape or form, I'll be honest. And that's more due to my masculinity than anything else.
Do you think?
Yeah. But I forced myself to read it. Now, don't get me wrong, the art in it...
Oh, I love the art.
It's gorgeous.
It's like... It's a photo.
Yeah, I was going to say realism in an odd way. Yeah, photo's probably a good way.
It's like someone sketched directly from the photo.
Yeah. It's set, as surprisingly as the title may say, in Tokyo.
It is.
About a young man who is working over there on a visa.
Yes, trying to sell cognac.
Trying to sell cognac for a non-branded, it's probably the best way of putting it. As it states within the book, the residents there like the brands. They're like big,
Napoleon, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he's over there on a visa, and his boss is coming. And he is scared, due to low sales, that he's going to lose his chance to stay there. Yeah. During this time as well, he meets a lovely girl.
Yes, a model.
Who I like the way they build a relationship up in it. I don't know.
Well, he goes to a party, doesn't he?
He goes to a party, meets her,
and they start chatting. Yeah, it's because he'd just been dumped by his other girlfriend.
He seems like an everyman. That's probably the first thing I say about it. He seems like he's found his little life out there. Yeah. He's got no money, or he's just enough to live on. Yeah. He's got nothing, but he wants to stay in this place. And then meeting a girl as well
we find out
he falls with, it's like, oh.
And how much he's actually put into learning the language, and, you know, how he taught himself from the train stations. And
he just wants to stay there. Yeah. And obviously the whole book is that growing love, but also the fear that he's going to lose everything he has. And I actually really enjoyed it, I must admit.
It's like a year in his life, isn't it?
Essentially,
and
in a way,
crucial moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just everything about it. And again, I say I would never read something like this normally. And I was surprised.
Yeah, it's a lovely little book.
Really is. So, Tokyo's My Garden. Go and have a look at that. I believe Benoit Peters, he will be at the festival this year.
Oh, lovely. I've taken getting signed.
And you've got one more there that we've been reading, or you've been reading.
Dragonair.
We got this because we interviewed
the
artist Emma Vicelli.
Yes.
Artist and writer on this one, you jumped on this one almost, didn't you?
I did.
As soon as you saw you could get that.
I was like, I'll have that one, please, thank you. But yes, I love her art. I can't, I worship at her feet. I love her art. And this one, you think, Shania Chronicles with dragons in people. I think Shania Twain. I feel like a woman. So yes, it's a pure fantasy driven. We're meeting 4 protagonists who've each got a part of a dragon in them, where they have to come together to stop. Well, they've then found out there's 4 parts and 4 other people who are the baddies, and there's a baddie dragon as well, which could be summoned up. Yes, so it's their journey coming together and then dealing with their own powers in a way. And then going forward to see if they're going to live. And I need to get the next one because it's on a cliffhanger.
Now, this was... this is an updated version of original work, isn't it?
Yes.
Because she did it and then it's such a long time ago.
Yeah, so she touched up the pictures.
The rest of the story is available on a website, I believe. I don't know if it's available to buy print other than the originals.
Oh, I don't know.
If you can get hold of them, that's a problem.
Yeah. I'm going to have to sit and read them on the website. I like to hold a book, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm completely with you there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Dragonair Reborn.
Yes.
Have a nosy for that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Emma will be on next show as well.
Yes.
Talking about her career, which is a really, really interesting interview.
It is a very interesting interview.
Right, talking of interviews, we've got some stuff coming up.
Ooh.
Okay. In fact, no, first we need to discuss Lego Batman. Nearly missed that there.
You did.
Lego Batman. Before we do that, let's play a trailer.
We built this city. What? It's the Batcave. Oh my gosh. Look, it's the Bat-Sub.
Don't touch that.
The Bat-Zeppelin.
Don't touch that either.
It's the Bat-Kayak. No. Do I get a costume? I love it, but his pants are just a little tight. I got an idea. It's better.
I can only look you in the eyes right now.
Hi, Batman. No way.
Come catch your greatest enemy. Superman is my greatest enemy.
Superman's not a bad guy.
Then I'd say that I don't currently have a bad guy. I am fighting a few different people. I like to fight around.
Hi, Barbara Gordon, new police commissioner. It's my dream for the police force to team up with Batman.
What?
Wouldn't that be better?
I hate everything you just said.
I'm Batman. I am Batman.
Is that your Batman voice?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. You sound more like...
Oh,
I was waiting for the Bane one. There couldn't be Batman without Bane with you.
So, Lego Batman.
Yes. We went to the cinema.
I've seen it twice now.
You have seen it twice.
Multiple children, yes. what did you think? Right, let's go the basic outline of Lego Batman first. Obviously, it's a Batman from the Lego movie.
Yes.
So this egotistical,
slightly,
man who just is there for himself. Let's be honest, that's all it is. It's all about him.
Yeah.
Do you not get that straight? That's to me.
Well, kind of, but I think. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that now.
Okay.
And then I shall.
Yeah, well, the story changes obviously, but
because he's lonely with his lobster thermidor for one.
And it starts off with all the baddies led by Joker.
Yes. Trying
to destroy Gotham City, break it in half, break the table, as it supposedly means. Let's be honest. And the point comes after Batman's beaten every single baddie there is to a
with
theme
his
tune.
hand tied behind his back, almost, isn't it?
Not a problem. The question comes of Joker saying he is the worst baddie for Batman. Batman's nemesis. Yeah. Batman's rival, and Batman says, "Well, he doesn't need anybody. Yeah, he doesn't need anybody. Good side, doesn't need bad side." Mm-hmm. And that is basically the purpose of this film. That we then see Batman lonely. Yeah. Or not lonely in his own. He doesn't believe he's lonely. That's the problem.
No, but he is.
And the fear of family is essentially
he doesn't want to let anyone down, really, does he?
I mean, I don't know why you know the backstory of Batman. I don't think anybody knows that.
I'm not sure anyone knows the backstory of
Batman.
Batman.
They didn't play the backstory of Batman, which was amazing.
Yes.
We don't need to see it anymore.
I think we do or no.
We don't need to see how Spider-Man was formed, Batman was formed, Superman was formed, nobody was formed. No. Don't care. We know it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So the story then continues, and he adopts Robin. Joker gets locked up
with his big eyes,
and then it's continuing how he finds that he needs people and so forth, and then big action sequence at the end. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Standard movie formula.
Standard. But I loved Lego Movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this.
It hasn't stuck with me.
No. Throughout the film, there is numerous jokes, references to Batman, mainly to Batman's films as opposed to the comics.
Oh, they take the mickey.
They take the mickey out of all the films, which is brilliant, fair play. Yeah. Their characters, I like most of the characters they brought, like Bane is a mix of film Bane and comic Bane.
Yes.
It's brilliant. I love Bane. Did I say I like Bane?
I'm surprised you're not having that tattooed on your arm.
I had to look for some like that may be next. The really good joke with Killer Croc in Suicide Squad, which will let you see that. It's only simple, but it is brilliant. Yeah. And there's loads of references, including fight scenes with kapow and...
Yes, yeah. And also they threw in lots of the old comic baddies, which you don't know so much.
Stuff that...
So they really went back, back to the source material.
They care about what they've done. I do feel, though, and it was a rushed production, that there is something lacking.
It lacked a spark. I'm not sure if you mean like it hadn't been edited together right, or it's just missing something.
Yeah, something about it that the Lego movie had.
If I think about the Lego Batman movie, I can't pick out one bit that I really, really liked. It's all merged into one. That's what I mean.
It's not a bad film.
It's a good film, and I'm glad I've seen it. It made me chuckle, but there was no high points for me to remember.
I don't know if I enjoyed the ending. I don't want to ruin because there's some bits that happen, but I think I'd rather it be kept within a universe.
Okay, I didn't mind the ending.
There was some interesting bits. I'm not going to. You need to see it to know what we're talking about there.
Yeah.
Overall, worth seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not
the hype train again.
One. It's not the best Batman film,
which is what people are saying, aren't they?
Well, that's what we were hoping it was going to be in a way. After watching the trailers, you thought this is going to blow everything out the window.
Yeah,
it's not the best Batman film,
but it's a good film.
Which is the best Batman film? Let us know. No arguments. In fact, we did a.
Is it Batman and Robin?
I did a poll, didn't I?
Oh, you did.
Out the Batman trilogy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because my favourite of the three is Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. Wasn't at first. I hated what it did with Bane, but over time it's
grown on you?
And that was the least favourite.
Oh. Well, you're on your own there, then, aren't you?
So, Dark Knight, Batman Begins then. Anyway, enough said about that, the better, because I'm not happy with the results. You're wrong. Right, we're going to... come back on the other side. We've got some content for people to listen to. Mm-hmm. We've got the first set of proper contributions from Chris and Mike.
Yeah.
talking about bits and bobs. Mm-hmm. We then have an interview with artist Pete Taylor, Monster Kids artist Pete Taylor.
We love Pete!
Who we met at the festival last year. I apologise for sound quality on this. We made a slight error with the record. It's a little bit echoey, but it's still
fine.
Still good.
Yeah.
Then we've got...
Sorry, Pete.
Yeah, sorry, Pete. Then we've got music. Music on a podcast.
I know.
Music from the Cosmic Rays. The song's called Ray, from the self-titled album.
Self-titled album. You can't say it, can you?
Self-titled
Get
album.
your dentures in.
The reason we're playing this is Charlie Adlard's band, who we then interview after the music.
Love you, Charlie. I'm going to love everyone. You know that.
Yeah, you're just going to love them all. We hope you really enjoyed the interviews. We enjoyed doing both these interviews. Absolutely
were
brilliant.
fun.
Brilliant guys. Thank you very much, both of you. We'll be coming back after that to give you some news on the festival and to announce our competition to win.
You need to stick with us because we have some amazing prizes.
Amazing prizes. So, see you on the other side.
Diary of a Red Shirt. Diary of a Red Shirt. Hello, this is Chris again. Diary of a Red Shirt entry. Currently, the applications are going out for people to exhibit in the town hall, the Comic Clock Tower. The way the system basically works is we have a application pack you take, you fill it all in, attach some images to it so we know what your work is, tell us a bit about yourself, send it back in, and then come end of April, early May, I think the date for the meeting is, 5 or 6 of us get around a table and we'll go through all the work and decide what makes the cut and what doesn't. What we're looking for is things that we haven't had before and a wide variety of styles and people. The last few years it's all gone very well, and we've noticed that as we've got better and better at it, the town hall has become more popular and more popular. We've started putting events on in there as well, which has been a fantastic addition to the ambience of the Comic Clock Tower. So, when we get round to selecting the people that are going to be in the town hall, we have a group of people that gather up, about end of April, early May. And that's myself. This is who was there last year. I don't fully know who's there this year. But myself, Sean Phillips, Carol Tate, Sharon Tate, Sandra Wood, and of course, Julie. And we sit there for about 4 or 5 hours, go through all these applications and decide what's the best mix of stuff to put on, making sure we keep in mind we don't want too many writers versus artists, publishers versus creators, and that sort of thing. We also keep in mind who's been before, who hasn't been, and anything that sort of we have never featured before, any styles, any techniques, and making sure that we basically get the best mix we possibly can. Notable guests that I've enjoyed the work of over the past few years was Simon Fraser from the first year, from he worked at 2000 AD. He drew me a Nikolai Dante for Ian, so I gave to him as a present, because at the time I had no idea who Nikolai Dante was. Also the first year we had John Wagner and Carlos Esquire, who were very funny, even though John is very monotonal and barely shows any emotion whatsoever. He was hilarious. I enjoyed chatting with him. Since then, other guests that I've really enjoyed talking to, I've had them there. Dan Berry, always a pleasure. Pete Taylor was very funny last year. I enjoyed talking to him. I spent quite a lot of time talking to him. Duncan Fegredo is always fun. I love his Hellboy drawings, they're incredible. Verity Glass, always good. I like her work. It's very steampunk. And I think my favourite guest we've had was Brian O'Malley, which was this year, because he drew a Ramona Flowers on my guitar. And then added to that, I got Duncan Fegredo to do a Hellboy, Dan Berry to draw a little fox on there as well, and also Geordie that does Batman usually. I think it's Batman he does. He drew a naked lady on it for me, which was nice. But yeah, we get a very good mix of people, which I think is one of the reasons I like the festival so much, and I've enjoyed working at it over the past 3 years. Thank you very much for listening to my diary. I'll be back soon with another episode. Diary of a Red Shirt. Diary of a Red Shirt.
So here we are, our first interview.
Absolutely.
We're joined by Pete Taylor, creator of Monster Kids, who we met last year at the festival briefly.
Yes. I bought a print.
Bought a print and got it signed.
Yes.
So,
and
hello
it's
there.
framed.
How do?
Hello there, Pete. How are you doing?
Yeah, great, thanks.
Thank you again for coming on the show. You are our first official guest.
Oh, no pressure.
No pressure, so we're expecting amazing things.
I'll try my best.
So, who is Pete Taylor? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a graphic designer and illustrator by day, time poor comic creator by night. So I, spend as much time doing my comics around my job and my family. So at the moment, being a freelancer, your workload goes up and down.
Yeah.
So you have to grab the chances you can get. So I go through periods where I don't get much chance to do my comics. Mm-hmm. And then there are periods where, if work's not so busy, then I spend a lot of time doing it. So it's interesting. But it's always been there, so I always try and do it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of comics do you like reading? Anything in particular? Or
I'm a massive Dark Horse fan.
Okay.
So pretty much all the Mignolaverse stuff, Hellboy, BPRD. Then there's, they've got so many great titles. Harrow County. I just picked up Black Hammer. Mm-hmm. Indie-wise, Image.
Yeah.
With Womble. He'll Be Killed. And Moonshine. With Edward Rizzo.
I've just read the first with Kill or Be Killed for the first time today, actually. It's amazing.
Yeah. I was a Marvel, zombie, and DC guy for years, but I had a mate I met in school who had much better taste in comics than me. My mate Dave Wright, and he would read Howard Chaykin's American Flag and Cerebus. So through him, I learned that there were more comics out there than the big two. Mm. And now from that have grown, that creator-owned market that Image and Dark Horse do so well. So I will, obviously keep abreast of DC and Marvel. Mm-hmm. So I just find the other side of the market so much more exciting at the moment.
Just briefly going back to what you said, you like reading Hellboy. It's exciting news that there's possibly Hellboy 3 coming out as well.
Yes.
That this week has just sent me nuts. I just want to see an end to that story.
Yeah. I saw the question that Guillermo sent out on Twitter. I think I saw it typically for me, because I'm so rubbish on social media. I think I saw it too late to vote. I think he wanted all the votes in one day.
Yeah.
But, if that could happen, that would be amazing.
Fingers crossed. Crossed.
I love those films, yeah.
Before we go on to your personal work, you've done us a massive favour. The logo, if you've downloaded the show, obviously you have if you're listening to it, it's been designed by yourself. So, massive thank you for that, because it is absolutely brilliant.
It is.
Could you give us a bit of detail as to, because there's quite an explanation around the different parts within the logo. What have you done to create that logo?
Well, I love designing logos. It's one of my favourite parts of my design side of my life. I think it's one of the things that first attracted me to comics to a certain extent. Seeing those Rocky Hulk logos and Iron Man's logo with the rivets in. Yeah. So any chance of and Batman, the Batman logo.
Well, it's had so many variations as well, hasn't it? It's amazing.
But that attracted me, I think, and so it must have influenced my sort of move into design. So when I get a logo that's comic based as well, of course, I love that. So when I started thinking about your logo, I visit the lakes regularly with my family every year. Yeah. So you know the geography, the hills, the towns, So I wanted to make sure I got some of the geography into it. So we've got a background of the mountains, which kind of echoes then the shape of the radio waves. Mm-hmm. I love those old school radio microphones from the 30s and 40s. So I thought that'd be a fun way of representing the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I like the idea of this kind of mythic Excalibur hand coming out of the water. So, I managed to, I think, get all of the elements to work together, and I was really pleased with it. It was a great job to have. Loved doing it every minute.
Yeah, no, thank you. The speech bubble as well. You see, you've got everything there in the comics. It's just brilliant. Couldn't have asked for better. I certainly couldn't do anything like that. That's for sure.
Glad you liked it. It was great fun.
So your personal work then, Monster Kids is your main comic that you seem to focus on. Am I right there?
Yeah, at the moment, there's kind of three threads to my comic work. My own personal work at the moment is Monster Kids, which I pitched to David Lloyd at one of the Cardiff Comic Cons.
Yeah,
I'd visited his table quite a few times and geeked out over Night Raven from the old Marvel UK days. This sort of pulp superhero, noir style superhero. And then after getting that out of my system, because he's a huge hero, one of the later cons, I took my portfolio and asked if he was accepting pitches for Aces Weekly, his online comic anthology, digital comic anthology. He said he was. Excuse me. So he looked through my folder, and the title or the piece I was working on he liked the best was Monster Kids, which is something I developed with Adam Wilmot, one of the writers from the Swansea Comics Collective.
Okay.
I set up, and they were single panel mainly, just kind of fun little jokey strips about this group of monster friends. There's a skeleton called Ray, two little witch girls called Ivy and Luna, a swamp monster called Pete, and a later character who seems to be the biggest hit, certainly in the Lakes, in the Lakes Festival, was Cthulhu, who's a little kind of baby Cthulhu.
It is cute.
That got the most kind of coos and ahs at the table. There was lots of love for Cthulhu. So he said he would love to have Monster Kids in Aces Weekly. The interesting point was he did stipulate it had to be a continuing story. So it's 21 pages over 7 episodes. And what was interesting for me and Adam was up to that point, we'd only ever done single sort of strips, almost like newspaper style, like 3 panels. And they were just kind of jokey one-shots. So for the first time, we actually sat down and planned out a full story, which involves them doing a show and tell at school, and then they're all travelling off and having to find each individual thing. So that's volume 20 on Aces Weekly. So it was great fun, and learned a lot.
So had you created any sort of story-based comic before that, or was it just like the free-framed?
We've done a couple of 2 pages for Monster Kids, but before Monster Kids, we worked on Copperopolis, which is the Swansea Comics Collective's story. That was a group-based title with about 4 artists, 2 writers. I've done a 4-page strip in Ladies and Gentlemen for Water Closet Press. They're a couple of indie guys based in Bristol.
Okay.
They're it's a steampunk sort of Victorian supergroup. So that was I wrote and drew and lettered and coloured that one myself as well. Yeah.
So what do you use? Do you just draw paper, or do you draw online or on a program? How do you actually create your art?
I'm an incredibly messy artist. It really is. I end up drawing on whatever's near to me. So I do a lot of running around with my 2 girls. So I might draw 1 panel in karate, and then I'll end up drawing another panel in piano, and or waiting outside school to pick them up. So what I end up then doing is having these very messy roughs, which is where I'm working out my breakdown for the plot and what I'm going to show and the viewpoint in each panel. And then I'll usually scan those roughs in onto the computer, and that is when it first becomes a comic. It's basically, I take all these little roughs and pieces of paper, scan them in and fit them in the boxes. Once those roughs are on a page, suddenly it looks like a comic. And I'll print that out, and then I'll refine it and get some pencils. Then I print those pencils out again in blue line, and then ink over those. And then scan my inks in, and then if it's Monster Kids, I'll be putting on grey tones and cross-hatching. And if it's another one, that's when I'll be colouring it.
Okay, so that's interesting. Obviously, you're doing a lot of artwork yourself now, so it's interesting to, as we go through these interviews, to hear how different people work with the work and see how it moves forward.
Yeah, because I've been listening to the podcasts, and Nick, you've been talking about having a tablet, and you've been trying to learn how to use the tablet. And,
trying. It takes a bit of getting used to. That does.
Because I don't draw with the tablet. I only use the tablet as a more natural way of interacting with the computer.
Okay.
You know, a mouse is really clumsy for painting or drawing with. I did, when I first got it, I did try, but the disconnect between the tablet and the screen...
It's getting over that, isn't it?
I didn't get over it. That's just...
It's hard. I have to kind of make myself use it, because I'd rather just sit with a pencil and paper and just get it straight down.
That's why it's messy, but it is time consuming. I've got a friend, Mark Hughes, who's got he's another stalwart of the SEC. He's got a Cintiq, and it's lovely. You know, that's a lot of this digital move now. Is a lot of artists move into the screen based drawing directly onto the screen, and I think that's obviously a lot more natural in this disconnect between the tablet and the screen. Yeah,
of course. Just need to save up some money then for the computer that'll do that.
I'll sell your kidneys, it'll be fine.
Thank you very much. So if there's a character or comic you could have created, what would you like to have created?
Oh, that's the question, isn't it? What has driven my later titles and the comics that I now have waiting to be drawn, I'd have to go back to Mike Mignola and Hellboy. I remember reading interviews where he said all he wanted to do was draw monsters.
Definitely,
He created this, vehicle to be able to draw what he loved best. And since he's obviously got a love of architecture and statuary and antique, sort of landscapes. And that's come in as well as the monsters. But I love drawing monsters, so I would definitely have loved to have come up with Hellboy, definitely.
Yeah, I must admit, it's such an amazing character. Full stop. Just the background behind Hellboy, never mind the whole art, the art behind it as well. It's a wonderful character, I must admit.
Oh, it is, and the way it's not just continued, but built an entire universe around the character. So you start off with Hellboy stories, which at the heart seem quite simplistic. Hellboy meets a monster, gets into a fight, the end. From that, you've got these, arcane societies and conspiracies, and even, weird little, still unexplained items like the little alien that was in his first origin story. I think they're going to tackle that later this month. But there's still little areas and pockets of that universe that they're still building stories from, which it's amazing. I love it.
Brilliant. So was the last festival your first one, or had you been before?
No, it was my first. As I said, as a family, we're regular visitors to Lake District. We visit Coniston every year. So I noticed when the festival started, I saw the leaflets, and Jonathan Edwards' wonderful characters, and really pops out. But it was just that little bit later in the year than when we normally go.
Yeah, nobody comes up that time of year. It's too cold.
It rains so much up here.
I really wanted to go though. I've watched over the years some of my favourite creators attend. You had Ryan Hughes, who's a graphic designer, a graphic designer and comic artist himself. Awesome work. Darwin Cook, I would have loved to have come along, when Darwin Cook was there. But I had applied previously to the Lake Festival, managed to get in last year, which was a real thrill. And it was Monster Kids, I think, that got me in, to be honest. I think I sent a few pages of that, and it was wonderful. It was great fun. Everyone was so lovely. It was so busy.
Yes,
it was.
It was amazing, but there were so many great people that I met during the festival on both sides of the table. Fellow exhibitors and the visitors. It was amazing. I had a wonderful time.
Did you get a chance to look around as well, or were you just stuck at the table?
No, I was stuck at the table. I didn't have anybody come up with me. So I did have some help from my table next door, Lizzie and Connor from Disconnected Press. So I did manage to nip away and join the queue for Geordie Benet, which I got to shake his hand. That was amazing. But, it was so busy.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get away. So, it was great. So I did miss out on Brian Lee, Mally, and stuff like that. But made up for it really. Just meeting everybody else. It was lovely.
Superb. So, what are your plans for the future then?
Well, at the moment, apart from Monster Kids, I want to get more books on my table for the cons that are coming up this year. Yeah. I'm definitely planning again for the Lakes.
Brilliant.
So I really hope I get in again next year. I'm setting up a studio with my writer friends, Ricky Webber and Adam, that we're working together with on a number of pitches, along with Mark Hughes, who's a fellow artist, Swansea-based fellow artist. So we've got quite a few different titles that we're hoping to work up and pitch at various cons. Some monster-based titles and some new, more interesting adventures.
Sounds good.
No, it does. It's very cool. So if people want to find out a bit more about you, where can they go?
thismanthispete.com.
Yeah.
And pretty much everywhere I am This Man This Pete. I think I'm This Man This Pete on Instagram and Twitter. So I am trying desperately. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it, and I've been on Instagram and Twitter. It's embarrassing. I've been on from like 2011, some tweets or something. And I've gone through periods where posting a lot, and then I just haven't been on for years. I don't know what happened, but I think that when you end up working, or when you go to somewhere like the Lakes, to be honest, and you do meet people that you do want to stay in contact with, that it kind of forces you to get involved and stay involved. Yeah. So it's been great, really. So I'm trying desperately hard to get better at social media. So.
And it was issue 20 of Aces Weekly as well. Wanted to see your work on that, right? Yeah. There's
a couple of ways you can get it. You can go to Aces Weekly, you can buy that, and it's a digital only title.
Yeah.
Or you can buy a custom sketch card that comes with a code on the back. So basically you can order that from my website or just contact me, and I'll draw you anything on the front, Monster Kids or whatever on the front, and then there's a code on the back, and then there's a few other bits of merch on there as well. There's some badges, and on my art prints as well. You know, that you bought the Wintry Wonder Woman.
We loved that one. We absolutely adore that.
It was like framed in that within seconds.
It was definitely my most popular item at the Lakes Festival. I think it just fit that sort of locale as well. There were lots of comments about how it was a much more appropriate outfit for Wonder Woman. And people asked me if they could get some wellies like that. So that was great.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming on and chatting to us.
My pleasure. It's wonderful.
Hopefully we see you this year at the event.
Yes.
If you're up there, we will come and say hello, that's for sure.
Oh, do you know what? I think what will happen is I'll be coming up regardless. Cause,
yeah, fair play. You can actually see what's going on.
It really is. I had such a good time. I'll be coming up, whatever. And then my daughter's desperate to come up with me as well, my elder daughter. So I'll be doing a nice family, 2 family trips probably to the lake.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Thank you.
Oh, great talking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can you find all the latest comics? At a comic shop, of course. But where can you find quality recommendations of comics? Where can you find informative blogs? Where can you find previews of up-and-coming comics? Where can you find information and resources on the comic industry? Where can you find a well-priced, well-stocked shop? Where can you find amazing customer service with knowledgeable staff? Page 45, of course. Find us at www.page45.com or visit us at our Nottingham shop. Page 45, more than just a comic shop.
Try to mess my head up, and here is the proof. She'd wait until the trick kicked in and tell me the truth. She cut herself to pieces just to make me care. Smoked a million cigarettes and cut all her hair. That's why I could never handle Ray. That's why I could never handle Ray. Why? Stay awake for 3 days straight and fall asleep on the stairs. She cut herself to pieces just to make me care. Smoked a million cigarettes and cut all her hair. That's why I could never handle Ray. That's why I could never handle Ray. Why are you looking at me? She tried to mess my head up, and here is the proof. She'd wait until a trick kicked in and tell me the truth. She cut herself to pieces just to make me care. She smoked a million cigarettes and cut all her hair. That's why I could never handle Ray. That's why I could never handle Ray. Why?
We are joined here by the Walking Dead artist, I can't even speak, Charlie Adlard.
That's because you are fame-struck.
Fame-struck. Thank you for coming on the show, Charlie.
No problem.
I don't know if you had a chance to see our logo, actually. Have you seen the logo we've had designed?
Is it the one that's on my Skype?
That's the one, yeah.
It looks great.
Pete Taylor did that for us, so we're much appreciative to him. So
that's a nice little logo. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
So, Charlie, you've been going in the industry quite a while now. Your first job, I believe, was 2000 AD as a sort of a main job. Am I right there?
That is correct, yeah. The Judge Dredd magazine was my first gig.
How do you get that as your first gig?
Just simple, hard slog. Nothing more exciting than that, really. Just spent about 2.5 years just schlepping around conventions at the time with my portfolio, and that was the first time I hit pay dirt. Literally, I would just target as many editors as I could. It was a good time to be doing it. I was lucky because it was the time where comics were, arguably at their height in terms of sales. Anyway, so Marvel and DC especially could afford to send reams of editors over to our UK conventions. Mm. So I had a bit of a pick of everybody at the time. It's okay. I appreciate it's harder now because there just aren't the number of people that come over.
No, there's so many editors over there. But even the thought of getting into 2000 AD for people these days must be something hard to imagine. Certainly somebody new on the scene,
Yeah, there just doesn't seem to be... I don't know, it just seems to be a harder... In my day, it just seemed to be a lot easier to find an editor who's just sort of stood there behind the table and you just go, "Oh, can I show him my work?" And they'd be fine. Nowadays, it seems like you have to have your own official portfolio review it. If they do that at all at various conventions, and it all seems a bit more structured, which kind of limits your ability to get your work seen, I feel, because I could literally spend a whole day just, sort of finding people and showing them work, which is what I did. I talked to at least 7 or 8 people a day at one of these conventions, just max out as much as possible.
Do you think the internet's made it a bit harder then in some ways? Because that's where people are just looking now rather than going to the conventions.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a firm believer in the pressing of the flesh. That sounds a bit rude. In actually meeting people and sort of talking face to face. Yeah, with the internet, it seems easier, but you've got that barrier, and it also makes it very easy for the person on the other end, i.e. the editor or publisher or whatever, just to ignore an artist or a writer. You can't be ignored when you're talking them straight in the face. And at least, if nothing else, if they're a proper professional, you get a straight answer.
That's very true.
Yeah. Internet-wise, we all know it's very easy just to sort of go, well, I'm not replying to that. And just they go away. Yeah. And that's it. You can't do that at conventions. You have to confront.
So I suppose with 2000 AD and it being the 40th anniversary this year, what's your favourite comic from within that whole series? Who do you like?
I never really followed the characters, to be honest.
Okay.
No, there are so many great ones. What really, as an artist anyway, what really inspired me was the especially back in the golden days, was all the Mick McMahons, the Brian Bollans, etc., the people that rose up through the ranks. Back in its heyday, it was just a treasure trove of just amazing artwork. And I think more than anything, I got to admit, especially Mick McMahon was my real sort of favourite, my go-to. He seemed to be the artist's artist, and as much as I loved so many other artists, I think Guy, for me particularly, was a reason to keep coming back and reading the next issue, 2000 AD. So, it was. I was an artist follower even back then, rather than I'll just read everything by Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
Not by Judge Dredd, I mean with Judge Dredd.
Yeah. I could just see him drawing.
You moved on from there. One of the things you did, I noticed, was the X-Files comics.
Yes.
How did you find that, having to draw such, copy people essentially off the TV, copy real-life people? Did you find it harder to do that sort of work, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I never expected to be doing something like that. I mean, the brief I was given by Topps Comics, the publisher, was... we got you for your ability to draw atmosphere, and we think you can capture the show. Don't worry about the likenesses. I should have had that on my gravestone. But yeah, it was an interesting learning curve, shall we say. The first year on the X-Files was great. When I was working with Stefan Petruka, the writer on that, it was great. When Stefan left. Yeah, the second year was pretty horrible, to be honest. And, it just seemed the interference from 20th Century Fox, the people that were obviously drafted in to sort of look at the comic, plus Chris Carter's production company up in Vancouver, 1013 Productions they were called, obviously were putting their 2 pennies worth in as well. Bearing in mind, none of these people really understand comics, so of course all they could see was, Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny weren't looking like Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. Yeah. They weren't literally, virtual photocopies of, their actors that are on the screen, and that was a problem, admittedly. It became so much of a problem, I just left in the end.
Right, okay.
I really had enough, yeah. I mean, the irony is, back then the X-Files, and don't get me wrong, it money-wise, it was great. Because of the success of the show, obviously the success of the comic followed in its wake, and that was good. But the contrast now to working on when a licensed product is in control of you, or when you're in control of a licensed product. The differences are quite amazing.
We did Mars Attacks as well, didn't you? So was it the same sort of thing there, or was it a bit different with Mars Attacks?
Attacks was a lot easier because it was only based on the bubblegum cards, so there wasn't really much to go on. The Tim Burton movie hadn't even come out by the time we started doing that. So that was great. That was really freeing, and because it was owned by Topps as well. They had a bit of better grasp on it, and they gave myself and Keith Giffen utter free rein to pretty much do what we wanted. So that was actually much more of a pleasure.
Okay,
a lot of the X.
Pretty glad you brought that on now, aren't you?
So obviously onto The Walking Dead. Is it 13 years? 13
years next month. Yeah.
Is there anybody that's jumped onto a title that's worked that long on an individual title that's not their own?
I think there's individual artists or writers who've worked on titles for longer.
Right.
I can't bring any to mind. Well, Dave Sim on Cerebus. I don't know how many issues. I can't remember how many issues. Years. He worked pretty much his whole life, so, or professional life anyway. And I think somebody told me there's a French artist on a French comic strip, I think, that has literally been doing it since, I don't know, the 50s or 60s or something like that.
Yeah, you're going to struggle to catch up to that.
A few more years to go.
Certain things you think, I'm never going to achieve that one. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think Rob and I have broken the record for longest serving continuing sort of team, open run on a book. I think we've done that, especially in America. I mean, there might be sort of Japanese titles, I don't know. There might be French books that have gone on for longer. But bearing in mind the French comic book market tends to be, sort of large format, 48-page volumes. So it's kind of less intense anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if I've actually done more pages than most, if there's any French authors hold specific records. So I think we've done that one. But who wants to call in and correct me on that one? I'm more than happy to concede.
So when it was issue 7 you joined, was it a big comic back then, or did it still to find its feet?
No, I hadn't even heard of it.
No.
So, Robert had to sort of say, I'm, writing this zombie comic. Have you heard of it? Are you interested? And obviously it was, no, I haven't heard of it. And I haven't actually got any work at the moment. So therefore I am interested.
I must admit, when you say zombie comic, it does sort of bring images of just a plain horror comic in a way, which obviously it isn't. It's a complete opposite of that. It's not realistically a zombie comic. It is about the people.
People, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is what makes it so.
It's about the characters, and that's what was the thing that interested me when I read the first script and obviously read the first 6 issues. I realised that Robert wasn't just doing some sort of trashy, exploitative, horror thing.
Far from it.
It was something a lot more, and obviously he explained his sort of game plan for the whole book. I was going, let's hope it survives. Let's hope we can get to at least issue 20 or something. Then, and then we told a bit of the story.
So I'm guessing over the years it's got easier to work with him as well. I'm assuming that trust factor has really grown, and I'm assuming it's allowing you to have more freedom with what you're drawing.
Yeah, I mean, there always has been the freedom. I mean, bearing in mind there was freedom at the beginning because Robert was pretty much a newbie to begin with, not the media mogul he's now.
Right. Okay.
But there was that at the beginning. So we had no real. We sort of worked fairly independently of each other and trusted each other right from the get-go, and it's kind of stayed the same. Throughout our 13-year relationship, nothing's really changed with the comic, to be honest.
How do you feel seeing your characters up on the screen? It must be quite impressive because obviously,
it is. It's a weird one, It's everything. After a while, it's put it this way: when I drew The Hand of Fate, which was my first strip for the Judge Dredd magazine. There was one day I went into W.H. Smith's and stood there by the rack, hoping that somebody would pick up a comic. I was just stood there and I could go, I'm in that. I drew something like that.
I did that.
That sort of thing, being proud. Oh God, there it is. It's on the shelf. Wow, it's real. And for the first season, it was great to see, wow, The Walking Dead, and being on set and everything and seeing it all come to life. There were moments, that sort of send a shiver down the spine. The risk of sounding horrendously arrogant, after 7 seasons now, it's sort of a new season comes out. I mean, I do watch it, but I'm a couple of seasons behind. It's
so am I actually. I must admit.
Oh, that's all right.
There's so much to watch out there.
Don't worry. Well, there's so much else, other good stuff to watch first.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I am not saying that.
Well, for me, seriously, that's, joking apart, for me, it's a bit. It sounds a bit disingenuous, but it's a bit like doing homework. I find watching The Walking Dead. I feel like I have to watch it, and because I feel like I have to watch it, the impetus to watch it is not there. I'm not watching it because I've just seen something say that sounds interesting. I'll download it, or I'll watch it on Netflix or whatever. It always sort of gets pushed back a bit. I'll watch this first, then I'll watch the next season of The Walking Dead.
To be fair, I found the best way to watch it actually has been reading the books and watching it and just seeing the links between the stories. It's because it's so random. Bits of stories pop up here and left, right, and centre. It's really enjoyed doing that so far.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, no, there are episodes which as we know, this might be the bleeding obvious, but there are episodes which are incredibly like the book, and there are episodes which obviously they go off-piste and do their own thing, and there's hardly any comics reference at all. So, but it's great to. It is great. Perhaps I'm being, like I say, a bit too, blasé about it. But
you're allowed to be.
It's great. It is great to have backing us up, and it's great to be able to, when people say, "What do you do?" and say, "I'm a cartoonist," and they say, "All right, what sort of cartoons?" And I'd say, "Comic book, type stuff."
Yeah.
Have you heard of The Walking Dead? Generally 70% of people will go, yeah. And then you say, and then you explain. And it's nice to be able to actually give the general public something to relate to. It's like, if you're the artist on Spider-Man or Superman or something like that, it's instant activity. So many comic book artists, because they might be working on a successful comic book within the industry, but you go outside of that industry, you say, for instance, let's pluck one from the air, Saga. If you say, if I'm Fiona Staples, which would be quite incredible. But if I was her, and you say, "What do you do?" "I'm a cartoonist." "Would you work on a book called Saga?" And no matter how popular it is, you get blank stares. It has to be some sort of media crossover thing. So it's great to be able to have that connectivity with the general public in a lot of ways, and then it explains your role in the whole grand scheme of it a lot better.
Yeah, no, that's true. Bit of your personal life. I noticed on Twitter you put up regular pictures of personal drawing, not that. You put pictures up of life drawings you do.
Yes.
Is that more of a hobby thing, or do you think that helps with the work overall? That you
a bit of everything. First thing if I ever say to a newbie is, they ask for advice, and I say, well, one of my big things is, find life drawing classes. We're all constantly learning. I'll never know how to draw everything. For the rest of my life. So going to life drawing class, well, it's not a class, it's just a model turns up and there's no one teaching you or anything. Hey, I'd be doing the teaching. You just turn up and pay a bit of money and sit there and myself and I'm sure Dan Berry as well. We both do it together. It's great. I love it. It's great. The adage that is a change is as good as a rest is really applicable to something like that. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Quite all right.
Because you're doing something completely different to the day job. And it's just to sit there and just to do something for your own pleasure. It's great, and I get to do some. You've probably noticed a lot of it is digital. It's quite funny because Dan and I sit there with our iPads. We're the only people that sit there with iPads. We look like the computer nerds in the corner with electronics. But again, I enjoy drawing on that because I don't get to draw digitally as much as. Because obviously all the Walking Dead is still physical, so it's nice to keep fingering digitally as well. So it's a good excuse to at least do that for a couple of hours per week.
Yeah. Just get away with it. Right. So important part of this interview: comic laureate.
Yay!
Yes, that is almost you. I think. Does it start in February? Is that officially almost you?
Almost there.
Finally, the banner will be handed over by Dave. Yeah.
So, can you explain what's the role?
The role is basically primarily as an educational thing. I will go out there to various generally. Well, it could be a convention, it could be an educational facility or something, and to educate people in that comics. And when I say educate, I'm already getting tongue-tied with my explanation of the laureate. But when I say educate, I don't mean sort of just exclusively go to schools. It's just to educate people in the ways that comics are perceived. So I'm a kind of an ambassador for the industry. For instance, my first official appearance will be to some librarians and teachers in Birmingham in March. So we'll sort of gear that to a certain type of way of bringing across how comics can be used in the classroom. Then I'll be doing a couple of sort of conventions, for instance, but it will be my laureate role will be more along the promotional sort of educational side of it. So it's not just my sitting and signing at tables, for instance, is as Charlie Adlard, artist of The Walking Dead. You see what I mean? So it's kind of having two roles now, and one will be split off into one and one will be split off into the other. So if a festival, convention or whatever is interested in me as the laureate, it's doing a certain thing. It's not just, if you just want me to sit at a table and sign comics, it's I'm not going to come as the comics laureate. It's pointless. So and I just personally want to give the message to everybody that comics, not just, especially in education, is not just for kids, it's for everyone. And I think we have to be very careful when we're talking about education and comics, because you're talking about comics in the classroom, which is great, and I fully support that and everything, and I truly believe comics is a great educational tool. But we've also, especially in this country, we have to be careful that we don't use that perception to imply that that's the only place it's good for, because, that goes back to the old problem we've got in the UK, which everyone perceives comics as for kids. And if you're constantly talking about comics as an educational tool, people will perceive that. So you've got to go in and say, well, yes, it's a great tool for education. It's a great tool, especially for people that don't want to read or have reading difficulties. And I've got first-hand experience of that, because my eldest son is very dyslexic. He unfortunately comes from he's got my wife's side of the family. They're all dyslexics, unfortunately. So and the pretty much the only thing he's ever read willingly are certain comic books, which is a good indication of how they can be used, to sort of help people with reading difficulties and things like that. So, it's not just reading difficulties. It's obviously people that, especially boys, aren't as good at picking up a book as a girl is. So it's specifying those sort of areas as well. But I also, as I keep repeating, I also want to impress upon people that if you're talking about, and education is for all. Education doesn't stop when you're 18. So, it is a great tool to be going on with into adulthood. And I think you get other different things out of comic books as you grow older. That is pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of years, plus wearing my cloak Dave gave me.
Well, we were talking about, not just before, about when we were at school doing art. They specifically said you couldn't draw in a comic style.
Comic style.
It was a case of you had to draw in the modern or whatever. And that was really frustrating as well. That's the other side of it. I feel that the country itself would be good if they saw comic style art more as a proper art in a way. Yeah. It doesn't seem to come across.
I mean, as we all know, it says as we all know, we probably don't all know, the French call comic book artwork the ninth art, for instance. They lump it in with all other art forms, which how we should be doing. Why is this art form belittled where so many other art forms aren't? I mean, I was lucky. I mean, I never had a problem with my art teachers telling me not to draw in a certain way. Perhaps they could see the talent. I don't know. No, I've been very lucky in my education. I've always been fully supported by my art teachers, especially, who sort of never really stood in my way and said, "Shouldn't you be drawing something else?" That for me was not thankfully a problem.
We must have had it bad.
We must have done. We've had it bad.
Or they looked at the work and thought it's just not worth.
Well, did you say Shrewsbury is rapidly becoming the centre of what with all us comics people suddenly living here?
You're attracting me.
Yeah, exactly. Rapidly becoming the centre of the comics UK universe. So perhaps my school perceived that back in the 70s.
So going on to the festival, you've been all 3 years so far.
Yes.
Why? Why every year? What do you see?
Why?
Okay, maybe that comes across wrong again. My question is not brilliant today, is it?
You can like your own festival. What are you doing here?
There's a part where we edit. What is it about the festival?
Well, when because I'm good friends with Sean Phillips, so when Sean told me that he was helping Julie set up the Lakes Festival, first year I came because Sean was involved and sort of helping out a friend by turning up and everything, and when I got here I realised that this is really different. This isn't your average just turning up to a large room, sitting behind a table and doing what you usually do, which I do try and avoid because after years and years of doing it, it kind of gets a bit boring. Obviously, not to sort of insult every other comics festival out there, but and also I'm a big I keep harping on about France and everything, but I'm a big fan of going to Angoulême, which is France's biggest festival. And what obviously the guys at the Lakes wanted to do was take the Angoulême template and translate it to the UK market, which is basically a convention, a festival. I keep saying conventions. It's certainly a convention that always implies a certain thing, and a festival a certain thing. And this is totally, as it says on the tin, a festival. Angoulême, it takes over the town. That is Angoulême's sort of raison d'etre. And, obviously the Kendal Festival is exactly the same. It takes over the town. And as soon as I realised that's what they were trying to do, I thought, this is brilliant. This is great. There's an atmosphere in Kendal, in the whole town, which you cannot get in any other place where there's a comic convention, because these things are sealed off. They're in one room, people go to that room, they do what they do, and that's it, and that's the end. Kendal feels sort of buzzing and alive from Thursday through to the Sunday. It's purely and simple, and the guys try and do different stuff, which is great. It's not just, you're coming to the con, right? Okay. Do you want a table? That's a general sort of what you're going to do at a general comics festival, convention, whatever. It's I'm going to sit at a table and sign, which obviously you have to do, and it's great to meet the fans, and I appreciate the fact that I do it. I have to do it, and I'll say I have to do it. It is nice to meet the people. It's the only time you get to meet the people who buy your books. So, I'm not going to bemoan that at all. But like I say, the Lakes is great because every year so far they've got me doing different stuff. I mean, this year, as you probably know, or last year know, I got involved with a 24-hour comic.
Yes.
Dan and I did our life drawing class, which I've never done outside of actually sitting in a room doing it myself, which was great. I loved doing that. It was just different. It was just doing all this different sort of stuff. And Julie's brilliant. She'll just sort of just say, well, what do you want to do? What ideas can we bring to the table for this year? So I just look forward to every year and what they're going to. I mean, doing the Asterix versus Tintin thing, brilliant. I challenge any convention in this country to do stuff that's as imaginative as the Lakes. Long may it continue, and I really hope they get the people to fully support it. And by the sounds of it, they are. It seems to be where, there's many thousands of people coming into the town just for the Lakes festival now, which is brilliant.
It's rammed. It really is. It's superb. So
and
question,
yourself, I mean, this is a great thing. You know, this is the Lakes Comic Art podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
what other UK con has their own podcast?
well, I think the reason we do it, we're doing this is because the whole thing is all about volunteering. There's so many people. Well, the majority of the people working on that weekend are volunteers, and that just shows how impressive and how liked it is.
Because, and they can see it's a good thing to do, and it inspires you to volunteer. Like us. You know, it inspires us to come up and do stuff, for nothing. I'm always willing to do stuff. Oh God, I'm putting myself on the line.
Yeah, you are now.
I'm always willing to do stuff for nothing.
We've got a list, okay?
Despite me,
And the question, I suppose, is: are you coming back this year?
I am.
There you go. You've heard it first. He will be here.
Fourth time. As long as they keep putting it on, I'll keep coming back.
That's superb. That says a lot, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Last few questions. You've got a band.
I have.
What sort of music do you play?
Yes, we're called Cosmic Rays. Yeah, that was it. We played the Lakes 2 years ago. That was Julie's idea for 2 years ago that we come up and perform. But yes, we played the year before, and in the Ruskins bar. So of course it was called the Walk In bar at the time.
Again, it's brilliant that they do that every year.
Yeah, every year.
It's something different.
Yeah, it's good to have a central sort of party, sort of social zone as well, But no, we do all original material. We are currently just started to gear up for recording our second LP.
Okay.
I've recorded some drum tracks. I'm just waiting for the rest of the members of the band to get in and do their bits.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we should have, because we recorded a couple of songs which weren't on the last album, which have been sort of floating around the ether since. And since then, our original guitarist Phil Winslade left, and we've got a new guitarist now called Rob McFall. And so we don't really want to put those two songs on the new album because it's obviously not the same lineup. So probably what we're going to do is release a little EP before the album and put those two songs which we recorded with Phil, and put a couple of songs that will be on the album, but put a couple of new songs with Rob on the EP as well. So we've got 4 songs, and release that hopefully sometime this year.
I like it. No days on that. Right, we've got a question for you from one of our listeners. Well, future listeners. Hopefully.
Yes.
He's telling me he's going to listen. We'll find out, won't we? Mike Williams is after if there's any chance of a reboot of Warheads.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a while back, I mean.
Probably, if there is, Mike, sorry, it wouldn't involve me. No, joking apart, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's very easy to preach from my ivory tower, I know. Mm-hmm. But, once you've got a taste of create your own stuff, there ain't any going back.
That is actually something else he was about to ask for, and something we were going to ask as well about if you've got plans for your own work going forward from the Walking Dead.
I mean, there's plenty of plans. I mean, at the minute, I'm currently nearing completion of book 1 of a French book called Vampire State Building.
Okay.
So it's obviously going back to my love for the French comic book industry. Sort of me working with the French comic book industry, which is great. I've done it before, but this is a bit more. Hopefully, it'll be a bit more. What's a good word? High profile. I cannot really tell you when it's coming out. The French are brilliant. The French are great in the way that it works for somebody like me who hasn't got much time to do other things.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're really really sort of casual about deadlines. It's kind of just like, yeah, it'll be done when it's done. So fantastic.
It's how life should be.
Oh, it'd be nice.
So I'm in my spare time, I'm sort of slowly working towards the end of. It's a 2-book series, so I've still got another book to do. But yeah, it's all digital as well, so it's kind of an interesting experiment. So that hopefully will be out at some point. Probably. It would be nice to have it out for Angoulême next year, actually, if that's doable. So yeah, that's it. And I'm talking to various people about other stuff. At the minute, but that's all I can say.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Charlie.
Yes,
really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you this October.
Yes.
I will be there. Excellent,
Brilliant.
guys. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Room for one lawgiver, please.
Judge Dredd. Or is it just Dredd? Fancy seeing you here.
Catwoman, you also here for the Comic Art Festival or a stint in the ISO cubes?
Of course. I love to see my makers in action. Watch it, Greenie.
Careful, Hulk. In this town we have a saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a booking offence.
I think he booked the events on the website.
Huh?
comicartfestival.com. It's got all the perfect information about the event.
Yeah, so's my fist. Druck, I'm out of here. Not standing around with those 4 tortoises that have just entered the building.
Cowabunga, dude!
Find out all about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival and booking information at www.comicartfestival.com. Mike's mutterings.
Hi there again, and welcome to some more of my ramblings. I guess it was hard not to notice that this year is the 40th anniversary of 2000 AD, so I thought it timely to explain a bit about 2000 AD, what it meant to me, and how it shaped my comic hobby. My earliest memory of 2000 AD was Flesh. I drank in the violence, but the story really gripped me too. I think only one other friend at the time was allowed to read 2000 AD, given our ages. Basically, it was cowboys from the future travelling back in time to capture and farm dinosaurs for food. If I got any one instance of childhood warping of minds and hearts to go back to, then Flesh would be it. It was how they got away with it at the time, I don't know. I've never gone back to read it. It has been collected and is available, I think, probably by Titan. But because I know it would seem tame now, it just wouldn't be the same. So I prefer my memory of the ultra-violence and mind-warping. The important thing, I think the most important thing about 2000 AD was the multi-layered writing. As I grew up, it seemed that the strips grew up with me. I know they didn't, because reading back now, I just realised that I understand the themes better now. As I grew up, there were so many layers to it. What started off as a simple adventure story, if I went back in my teens and read it, I'd understand that there was something else behind it. Does anyone remember Skiz? It was on the surface, when I first read it, just a rip-off of E.T. I didn't really get the strip, wasn't one of my favourites. But it was actually, I now realise, it was E.T. crossed with Boys from the Black Stuff. It was a favourite of my sister's, who was obviously older than me, and got what it was getting at. It was very political, social commentary. She got all that more than I did. I had to go back and reread it, but in my late teens, to actually get what it was all about. I mean, Judge Dredd has spent 40 years demonstrating his totalitarianism, fascist dystopia. Don't get me wrong, he's awesome, I love him, but he's not a good guy. It's amazing, you can Google just how many people have actually done academic papers discussing the pros and cons of Dredd's approach to justice. And then you got poor old Johnny Alpha and his muty buddies, which was basically a story of racial hatred and prejudice. And then you've got things like Zenith, which was on the surface a superhero story, but was actually quite a brutal criticism of the Conservative government back then. And later on, when it returned, the Blair Party. But there are three key stories that I think had the most effect on me and shaped kind of my comic tastes going forward, I guess, from late teens onwards. First, a favourite of many I know was Nemesis the Warlock. A future Earth society, the Terran Empire wages war on all alien life. Step forward Nemesis, the demonic alien resistance leader. That was the story. The artwork made it. Kevin O'Neill's art just fleshed out Pat Mills' world in a way that they just don't seem separable. But as it continued, they got more and more artists, and every one of them made it their own. I mean, the Talbot era, Brian Talbot is just one of my favourite Nemesis as well. And one thing I really recommend to anyone, buy the collected volumes and read them back to back, just to get an understanding of just how epic the whole story arc is. And I think people really miss how morally ambiguous everyone ends up at the end. But no spoilers here, don't worry. And then my second favourite has to be The Ballad of Halo Jones. Alan Moore and Ian Gibson, so that had to be brilliant. It starts so simple, just a young girl that wants to get out of her crowded cityplex life with no prospects, prompted by the death of a friend. But it basically opens out over the books into just an epic story arc that continues all the way until she's conscripted into some kind of future war, which is just one of the darkest storylines 2000 AD ever ran. Another epic journey, but sadly cut short. And then finally, DR and Quinch. Alan Moore and Alan Davis this time. It had no redeeming qualities. No social commentary, political awareness, nothing. It was just fun. It had a kind of unique brand of sick humour, which you either got or didn't. And it was just total anarchy. It was the most fun I had read for such a long time, and it was just violence for violence sake, to be honest. But it was a long time before I felt that sort of chaotic joy again. So I'm thankful for DR and Quinch for that. But luckily, Tank Girl came along and kind of filled that gap. But that's for another episode.
So I hope you enjoyed those interviews.
Yes, I did.
We did, definitely did. So now we've got some news on the festival itself.
Yes. Do we need news music?
I'm not even going to bother with that.
You're not going to
do... Festival news. That was awful.
It was.
All right.
Okay.
We'll never do that again until next time. Right, first of all, the festival itself has won 2 awards at the Cumbria Life Awards 2017.
Brilliant.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of festivals held within the Cumbria area.
I was going to
say.
There's
a long list of festivals.
In the festival town.
It won Best Overall Festival.
Well, isn't that the top one?
On.
That's got to be the top award.
And it also won Best Event for Black Dog Dreams of Paul Nash premiere, which was sort of I think it was an audio visual sort of production as well for the launch of the book. So well done to the whole team.
Yes.
That's the guys who work in the offices as well as all the volunteers. Well done to everybody. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Some announcement for the next festival. Brian Talbot has announced Granville Force Majeure will be launched at the next festival.
Yay!
So his next books, we've got one of them to read, haven't we? So
I've read it.
Well, you've read it. I'll catch up. Nikki is a fast reader. She reads,
I devour books.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
So slow. I take my time. But...
It's like every time a comic book comes through the door, it's like, ah! Read it.
So that's just been announced, so that will be launched at the next event.
Yes.
And also the new website is now live. Go and have a look. It's got the list of people who are going to be at the festival.
Yes.
There's still some more to be announced.
Oh, they are teasing us.
But most of them are on there. Doesn't actually come up with all the events yet. They're still to be arranged, I believe, and get sorted out. Tickets are now for sale.
Yes.
You can either buy a 1-day pass or a 2-day pass.
Yes, which is a brilliant idea.
It is. So basically, throughout the day, you can get into anything that's going on. It's just the evening events that are a bit different and a bit timed, and the opening night event. But it means that where before you'd go and you'd think, right, go to this.
Yeah, shall I go to that? Oh, I'm not sure I want to. Oh, I don't know.
This, you probably spend about the same amount of money
Yes, but go and
But you can do what you want and change
yeah.
them all and try the things you wouldn't have been so sure about before. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
I do too.
Go buy. Obviously, I don't know how ticket numbers are going to be, so get early is what I'd
definitely.
say. Just grab it, especially for the premiere nights and so forth.
They sell out really quick.
Yeah, so they're the ones you really want to jump on board and grab if you're interested in coming up. So, competition. Got a competition.
Yes.
We have 2 prints. One is Start again. One is Dave McKean's Black Dog.
Yes.
A print of the fish...
Airship.
Yes. Fish ship.
You can't call it a fish ship.
It is absolutely gorgeous. Check out Twitter,
really,
Facebook and the
really
website
good.
for link to have a look at these pictures. That is signed.
Yes.
And also the other one's Charlie Adlard's image he did for the Beatrix Potter theme, which was the last festival as well. You can win these.
Yes.
One winner for the pair of them.
Oh, you lucky
One winner. You've got until I wrote it down.
We're
20th of March. 20th of March, 2017. We need you to name a comic character you should be in. I really am losing it.
You're not doing very well, are you?
Name a comic character you believe should be in the Walking Dead world and why.
Yes.
Don't have to be a superhero. Any comic character. You can either contact us with information through the email, comicartpodcast@gmail.com. This will all be on the notes of the show, so if you miss that.
Especially with his accent.
Send us a message on Twitter @ComicArtFestPod or on Facebook, find us Comic Art Podcast. Send us, just a brief who it is and a brief reason why. And the most interesting one, we will decide, will win. So make it interesting, make it funny, make it anything at all.
Go for it.
The more interesting it is, the better.
Yes,
if
it doesn't have to be obscure.
No.
You know, you don't have to go out searching for the most obscure.
No, it's more the reason than anything. So get involved with that. Somebody will win those 2 prints. There's another prize coming next episode, but we'll discuss that.
That's amazing too.
We'll discuss that then.
It's like they're stacked in the corner. It's like,
all prizes.
Just stroke them
Prizes. In fact, no, should we say what the next prize will be as well, so they can come back and listen?
No.
We'll say
Tease
it's
them.
related to Sean Phillips. That's all we'll say.
All right then.
We'll say that.
All right. We'll leave that little teaser dangling.
So next episode, which will be out 1st of April.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it's not a joke. We are coming back. We have Pete Taylor joining the team as a contributor after his interview today. He's going to come on and talk about life as a comic artist.
Yes.
So we're covering all areas. We've got festival person, just geek.
Oh,
Mike
Mike
geek
Mike
and
geek.
comic artist.
Yes.
We've got an interview with Emma Vicelli. And fingers crossed, as long as we get it all sorted and planned and dealt with, Sean Phillips hopefully on the show as well. So fingers crossed. If not, we'll have someone else. But hopefully, as long as he's not busy, then we'll get him for a chat as well.
Yes.
Right. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
We're going to close the show now with a song, and it's not me.
No,
it's not me. We hope to do this every single episode. We've got quite a few lined up. We want local musicians from Kendal, Lancashire.
Yeah.
To play out the show.
Yes.
The first one is down to Sean Moore and Richard Ferris.
Absolutely.
Who are the group The Wild. Sean Moore is a very popular artist, musician in Kendal, and he's started now a duo.
Yes.
A duo.
Oh,
I like cute.
That is sweet.
Have a listen. It's called
Snakes.
If you want to search for The Wild, which is spelled WYLD on Facebook and YouTube if you want to see more, or Sean Moore on YouTube as well. There's a lot more videos of his there. Other than that, enjoy. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Make sure you follow us on social media and so forth, and we will see you in a month. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Have you met my friend? He's really great. He's an animal lover. There's one thing he hates. He'll pet your dog or stroke your cat. He'll ride a horse.
No problem with that.
But there's one thing that my mate hates.
I don't like snakes.
He don't like snakes.
I don't like snakes.
They're God's worst mistakes.
I don't like snakes.
He don't like snakes.
I don't like snakes.
They're God's worst mistakes.
I don't like snakes. I'll buy some fish. I feed them up real
Don't
fat.
like snakes.
I'll feed the birds. No problem
He
with that.
don't like snakes.
But there's one thing that I
He don't
hate.
like snakes.
I don't like snakes.
He don't like snakes.
I don't like snakes.
They're God's worst mistakes.
I don't like snakes.
He don't like snakes.
I don't like snakes.
They're God's worst mistakes.
I don't like snakes.
He'll pet your dog or stroke your cat. He'll ride a horse
No problem with that.
and he'll buy some fish and feed them up so fat. And he'll feed the birds.
No problem with that.
But there's one thing that my mate hates.
I don't like snakes.
He don't like snakes. He don't like,
And I don't like.
he don't like snakes. He don't like,
I don't like.
he don't like snakes. He don't like,
I don't like.
he don't like snakes. He don't like,
I don't like.
he don't like snakes. He don't like,
I don't like.
he don't like snakes. I don't like snakes. He don't like snakes. They're God's worst mistakes. He don't like snakes. They're God's worst mistakes. I don't like snakes.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Follow the podcast on Twitter at comicartfestpod and have a listen to our other show at houseofgeek.org.uk.